Here we have the semi-final archetype used by Yugi, and it's the famous Summoned Skull archetype, which up until recently wasn't very much an archetype because, well, there was only 2 cards, so yeah, and it was more of a gimmick than an archetype, so yeah. In the recent support lineup, they've actually became an archetype, and to my surprise, they've been given the Add Ignister treatment, so yeah. Let's get going and start off with our first monster, the titular Vanilla Summoned Skull, with 2500 attack, 1200 defense. It's always treated as an Archfiend monster, level 6, and that's all you basically need to know. If it's one of the more famous vanilla monsters of all time because it had a deck variant named after it, that being the Summoned Skull Beatdown, where normal monsters with very large attack and manipulation, very large attack in general, not manipulation, what am I saying, weren't very plentiful back then. There was the Blue Eyes White Dragon, but that was 2 tribute brick back in the day, so no one ran it because of that. Same applied for Dark Magician because seven sword star thing and trade-in weren't a thing back then, so yeah, there were basically bricks with no benefits. However, Summoned Skull wasn't that case. He had the same stats as the Dark Magician, and he only required 1 tribute, so games usually came down to the fact who could get Summoned Skull out faster, and yeah. Good luck to you was the message in that meta back in the day, so yeah. So let's see what kind of archetypal goodness we have from that. First up we have their last main deck ritual monster, Advent Skull Archfiend, all same stats as the original, and can be ritual summoned with Contract with the Abyss, which is a generic ritual spell for any dark monster and gives no additional benefits. This card's name is treated as Summoned Skull while it is in the main monster zone. Well, monster zone in general, sorry. This card on the field cannot be destroyed by a battle with a non-ritual monster, and cannot be destroyed by the monster effects of non-ritual monsters. If this ritual summoned card in its owner's possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect or by battle or being destroyed, you can special summon 1 Summoned Skull from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So okay, this is a niche card. If you use the original Summoned Skull to ritual summon this, which is not out of the question, since you know the Contract with the Abyss requires the exact levels instead of exceeding or exact. So yeah, you basically get the same resource you use to summon this thing. So yeah, it's worth building an entire deck around this thing. It can also be summoned with advanced ritual arts, so yeah, just dump a Summoned Skull into the graveyard and have fun. So far, this is actually their best monster, and I'm actually surprised I'm saying that to a ritual monster. So yeah, next up we have the fusion representative, Manifested Skull Archfiend. And it requires 1 Summoned Skull and any dark monster, and this card names becomes Summoned Skull while it is on the field, but it is still treated as an Archfiend card. Summoned Skull you control gain 500 attack. If this fusion summoned card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, by battle, or by card effect, you can special summon 1 Summoned Skull from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Same floating effect, but this one is a bit more battle-oriented, while the ritual one you offered some protection. Sangan can be put to good use here since it requires a dark monster. Or Witch of the Black Forest, whichever do you prefer. Actually, Witch of the Black Forest is actually more preferable here, since Witch of the Black Forest can search out another Summoned Skull, so yeah. Bonus points for that, and yeah, this is also a very nice card. I'd say definitely run this one. Now we have the Synchro representative, Beckoned Skull Archfiend. It's another level 6. Again, all of these have same stats. It's completely generic in terms of tuners and non-tuners, and this card's name becomes Summoned Skull, blah blah blah. Your opponent cannot target Summoned Skull monsters you control with card effects. If this Synchro summoned card you control is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, again, same floating effect. So yeah, this one gives targeting protection, while the ritual one offered destruction by battle and card and monster effects. So yeah, this is also a nice addition to have, since it covers bit of some variety of spell and trap cards. So yeah. However, the thing about this thing is it can be a bit tricky to find appropriate tuners and non-tuners to summon this thing. So it's not that worth maxing out on, and it actually is the worst among the extra decks and among the monsters in general so far, which is absolutely sad for me to say since I absolutely adore Synchros. Next up we have the Xyz representative, Xyz Skull Archfiend. 2 level 6 monsters, same stats, this card's name becomes Summoned Skull, blah blah blah. And if a Summoned Skull you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach one one material from this card instead. If this Xyz summoned card you control is sent to your graveyard, same floating effect. So this is again battle protection. This one's a bit more specific and more versatile battle protection, since the ritual Summoned Skull only protected from non-rituals. Well, this one protects, well, everything basically. So yeah, it's not that hard to get 2 Summoned Skulls out onto the field in order to overlay into this thing. But however, we still have one more monster to take a look at, and that is the Link 4 Link Male Archfiend. It has 2800 attack. It's a Cybers monster for some reason. Requires 2+ monsters, including a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster. If this card is special summoned, you can target one Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster you control or in your graveyard. All monsters your opponent currently controls lose attack equal to the targeted monster's attack until the end of this turn. Your opponent cannot target monsters you control that were special summoned from the extra deck with monster effects. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish one Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, or Xyz monster from your graveyard instead. I know it's a worse Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, but this is actually a pretty nice card, all things considered. It offers decent protection, has decent protection itself if it would be destroyed, and on top of it all, it can scratch the opponent for 2500 minus attack. So yeah, that's a very nice chunk of attack points, wouldn't you say? So yeah, this is absolutely a staple in Summoned Skull. However, but I wouldn't advise us running more than 2 of these, 1 to 2 max, because it can be a bit of a chore to summon, and its link arrows are very weird, in my opinion. So yeah, run in any ratio you prefer, just not 3 of them, because it can be a bit of a nasty clog there. And their last card is the spell card Makyu the Magical Mist. Yeah, remember this thing? Well, anyway, target one Summoned Skull or Thunder type monster you control. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with defense less than or equal to the attack of that monster. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. If you really want to pull this effect off, I'd suggest running the Red Eye Archfiend Skull, or whatever he's called, the Gemini representative of Summoned Skull we needed for Archfiend Black Skull fusion. And yeah, no need to run this bricky card. However, I'm fascinated that it requires and that it also can work on any Thunder type monster, given the fact that the Summoned Skull isn't a Thunder type himself, it's a Fiend type. So yeah, not the same, and I wouldn't advise running this. Just run the Gemini monster if you feel like pulling this effect off. Alright, time for the grades. Alright, so this is a bit of a trickier one. Consistency gets a 1 out of 3 because this is an archetype entirely based around level 6, rank 6 and link 4 monsters. So yeah, nothing pretty much comes from it. And given the fact that there are no other main deck monsters besides the vanilla and the ritual, yeah, it says pretty much about this archetype. Power gets a 2 out of 3 because all of them have very explosive attack values and all of them can hit pretty very hard, but that's if they can actually build an appropriate field for a said power to be manifested. But yeah, that doesn't always happen too much. They struggle with consistency, as I already mentioned, so yeah, it's not deserving of a 3 out of 3. Comeback ability gets also a 1 out of 3 because it can be a fair trick to even consider bringing them back if your main boss monster is down and down for the count. So yeah, once they start to fall, you might as well just scoop because it'll fall like dominoes. Protection, See, this is actually a tricky one. All of them have a very unique and interesting protection effects, but again, you can mostly control one of them at the time because the link arrows on their link monsters are very weird. So yeah, it's not the best. So yeah, I'll give them a 1 out of 3 because I would give them higher if there was some consistent ways of getting multiple extra deck monsters onto the field with this archetype. And as for the versatility, they are splashable in Archfiend decks, and that's about as far as it goes. So 1 out of 3 there. The only thing this thing has going for it is the power, nothing else. Row, fight the power. Yeah, I know. And that was the Summoned Skull archetype. We only have one more that was used by Yugi, and then we're shifting to some other character. Stay tuned until then. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more vids, and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever you can. See you all. Have a good day and peace.